viewership, debt, and a bunch of These were the ingredients chosen to create two mediocre football leagues. But when the debt became too much to bear, they merged. Thus, the United Football League was born. Now, hypothetically, the dispersal draft is supposed to mitigate any sort of talent gap that was clearly on display last year. And if you don't know what the dispersal draft is, it basically allowed all 8 teams to protect up to 42 players and would then be able to select 20 additional from their conference in the draft. Got it? Okay, good. But, you know, when there's winners, there's got to be losers. And yeah, I'm looking at you. Now that I got the weekly Brahmins bashing out of the way, and, you know, now that I think about it, subconsciously I probably do it because I'm so salty that the Spurs lost to the Heat back in 2013, and that's the reason why Tim Duncan doesn't have his 6th ring. But that's neither here nor there. But with all that anger, I have used to channel it for good, to drive my caffeine-powered research and my glossy-eyed film watching. I did all the stuff and things so that way you, my friends, didn't have to. Let's finally get to the point of this video, and that is the reigning XFL champions, the Arlington Renegades. And they were formerly known as the Dallas Renegades, but I think that they wanted to distance themselves as far as possible from the name Dallas because of, well, lack for a better word, tragic collapses that we've seen from their older brother, Cowboys. And just a little more shade, and then I'm done, I promise. Somehow, a team that went 4-6 were able to bring home a championship to Arlington in the 21st century. So, what's your excuse, Jerry?
We're not playing very well. Get your damn act together. You're set.
All right, I'll get back on topic this time. So, this Renegades team is led by their head coach, Bob Stoops. And yes, I mean that Bob Stoops. And here's a quick fact for you that I learned in my surfing of the web. Bob Stoops is the only head coach in NCAA history to win all 4 BCS ball games and a national championship. The more you know. The Renegades started their inaugural season in 2020 at 2-3 before COVID had to just come and ruin everything.
Mission failed. We'll go next time.
And they finished their 2023 regular season campaign with a 4-6 record, which also included a 5-game skid to close the season out. But with the Brahmins losing their final home game, they squeaked into the playoffs. The Titan killer Luis Perez came in and led this team to an unbelievable Cinderella story. They knocked off 2 of the best teams along the way. And does this team remind you of the 2007 Giants, or is that just me? Anyway, Perez had an absolute dynamite postseason, putting up 577 yards, 6 tutties, and no interceptions. Oh, and not to mention a completion percentage of 71.42%. Look, say what you want, but that's impressive. Now, I know what you're thinking. With the way that this offense was clicking, Perez had to have been the day 1 starter. No, God, no. No, actually, you would have thought that they were the Browns of the XFL with as many quarterback changes as they had. And in fact, Perez wasn't even on the team to start the season. He was on the Vegas Vipers. So the day 1 starter was a guy by the name of Drew Plitt. And in his first 2 starts, he threw for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And if it wasn't for his defense scoring 2 defensive touchdowns in week 1, he'd be 0-2. And if you thought that guy was bad, the guy that replaced him with was even worse. Kyle Slaughter was the name, and throwing picks, well, it was his game. He started 4 games and he threw a pick in every single one of those games. And right as soon as they were done with the Slaughter experiment, Bob Stoops was like, Plitt, you know what? I want you to be the guy. Well, which, you know, in hindsight worked out in their favor because they ended up trading for Luis Perez after he got injured. So, you know, you're welcome. But from what I've been seeing online, with the re-signing of Drew Plitt, yes, that's right, they decided to bring him back, and the Renegades signing a quarterback out of ECU, there is supposedly a competition at quarterback. Listen, I know that we all make great couch coaches, okay? But it really just seems that there shouldn't even be much of a competition. Proven winner, proven loser. You decide. Now that we're done talking about arguably the most important position on the field, I could talk about the other areas of emphasis on this team. Like, they added depth by drafting the stud running back from the Seattle Sea Dragons, Morgan Ellison, who showed flashes of greatness early on in the 2023 season, but he went down with a season-ending injury. They also retained their starting running back, Davion Smith, who only rushed for 365 yards last year, but he did have 7 rushing touchdowns though. And just to add my 2 cents into things, because you know, that's what I'm good at.
A little overwhelmed by my girth and tonnage, right?
You would think that a team that struggled with the quarterback position for most of the season would have relied more heavily on their run game, but hey, who am I? But I'm saying that as if they even had much to throw to in the first place, and I'm probably being harsh here whenever I say this.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort.
But they didn't have a single receiver get over 100 yards receiving in a game until their semifinals matchup. And to pour more salt onto the wound, their leading receiver was the tight end. So, you know, I think it's safe to say that the wide receiver room wasn't the greatest. But Bob Stoops did add size by signing tight end Austin Allen and ex-49er wide receiver Isaiah Winstead. Now, I know that for a team that won the XFL championship, I sure am laying into them, but it's with love. I promise. Tough love, if we want to call it that, okay? But the old saying is that defense wins championships, and thank the Lord that held true for this team, because in all the areas that they were horrible in offense, they more than made up for in defense. This Renegades defense was definitely one that made quarterbacks see ghosts.
Ghosts.
They forced a league's best in turnovers with 22, but somehow finished as the 3rd ranked defense.
What?
And here's just another quick fact for you, because you know, I filled with those today. The Arlington Renegades are the only team in the XFL to force a turnover in every single regular season game. Going into the playoffs, Pro Football Focus said that they had the top rated defenders in the league. And you know, they said so. It's Pro Football Focus. Their ball hawk safety, Joel Powell, had the 3rd highest coverage grade among safeties in the XFL, and he allowed no touchdowns on 455 snaps. Will Hill was another great safety that complemented Powell. He had 48 total tackles and even added an interception on top of that. And just a quick sidebar real quick, as I was doing my research and I came across the name, I was like, oh yeah, like what happened to that guy? Because, you know, I remember him being at least, you know, somewhat decent in the NFL. Well, he went for the wrong type of hash mark. Get it? Because he got suspended for marijuana.
Yes, I can do it by myself this time.
This linebacking core is led by all-USFL Donald Payne, who still to this day remains the only player in either league to record 100+ tackle season, and he did that with the Gamblers back in 2022. I like look at these stats sometimes in just like amazement, and then I just kind of sit back and realize that it's like the minor league. Now, the next player, he's honestly here just for the name drop purposes and, you know, clickbait. That's why, okay? Vic Beasley Jr. was a top 10 draft pick back in 2015, and ever since he joined the Renegades, he just hasn't found his form. He only had 15 total tackles last year, and honestly, that's really about it. What kind of guy would I be if I didn't mention the punter that's cooler than the underside of a pillow? And if you don't know the name, that's fine. That's why I'm here. The name is Marquette King, and he's most notably known for being the only player ever to make punting look somewhat cool. But the new additions on offense had to have an immediate impact. I mean, because although Perez came in and had a Foles-esque type of run, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a sustainable height of play. But hey, I'm not going to rain on their parade, because honestly, at this trajectory, Perez just might be the next call that Jerry makes.
Lotion on my dick right now, I'm just stroking my shit.
Hey guys, thank you so much for just taking the time out to come watch my video. And hey, if you stuck around this long, you might as well hit me with a like, or if you're feeling generous, maybe a subscription.
A little overwhelmed by my girth and tonnage, right?
But anyway, don't forget to tune in next week where I talk about Luis Perez's children, the DC Defenders. Wait, is that Cardell Jones?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Jonathan's Jerky.